Okay, we're recording. This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 14.
Wow.
Yes, and we have Colin. We have Colin from Edgeworld Records. We have Colin from Tatty, Seaside Town. We have Colin from Brentford FC. And we have Colin from Worthing FC. How's it going, Colin?
Yeah, pretty good, thanks. Yeah. You all right?
Good. Yeah. How's Worthing?
All good. Worthing's pretty sunny today, but it's a bit parky.
Yeah. We just had snow. We just had snow. So yeah.
No, we're not getting any of that. No, it's quite a nice day, but it is pretty chilly.
Yeah. So you are this is episode 14, and you are the third person from Worthing.
Yes.
Here. And I'm beginning to conclude that Worthing is the hotbed of
hub, mate. Yeah.
Hub of rock and roll.
Yeah. I think all things it's all going a bit Worthing centric these days.
Is that right?
Yeah. And why not?
Yeah, no, the talk is people are migrating there in big numbers.
Ones and twos, yeah.
With guitars on their backs. So I think that we first met in person. I think we first met at the Globe pub.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I was thinking about this. That was the first time we actually met, but we talked on the phone because you were working for Vital at the time.
Yep.
You were my telesales chap for a bit.
Yes, I was.
So one of the first things we covered was who do you support? Who are you?
Yeah, so we would speak on the phone and I would try and sell you Baha Men singles, but you would try and get 4 Coronation albums from me. And then we eventually did meet up. We met up at the Globe pub, which is in the town of Brentford in West London. And we would go to the football on occasion together through the years, just a couple of times a season, really. In fact, the last time was one of the last times I went to Griffin Park, which was, I think it might have been home against Leeds. Maybe. Is that right?
Dirty Leeds.
Yeah. The last match I actually saw was home against Sheffield Wednesday when we won 5-0, which was the last game at Griffin Park. I know, sad times.
Yes.
So when I took over the person that was your telesales person before, at Vital, we had little like cards for each shop that you'd go through, and you'd have to ring certain people on a certain day, and your day was whatever day it was, and he'd written a little note on yours, and it said, what did it say? It said, despite his protestations to the contrary, Colin is not a chain with no name store. And that's what it said on the card. And when I looked at it, I thought, okay, so if you was a chain with no name store, you got like a slightly different deals on things, or you got different options with certain records. But I've got a feeling we ignored it in the end. But I remember, because I was new to the game, and I remember seeing that, and I thought, here we go, we've got a card here.
Yeah. I got no memory of ever claiming to be a chain with no name store. I might have just like bugged them for like a certain record that was only available to chain with no name, but
no, but it made me laugh though. I never really knew the guy that was there before me. I think he was there for like a day or two, just to sort of show me the ropes.
Yeah.
So I never even talked about it, and
he gave you the wrong card, somebody else's card. Yeah. So anyway. Bristling with indignancy.
We're going to get to Edgeworld Records because we're now on episode 14, and at least 2 or 3 people have picked Edgeworld as their favourite record shop. So we're going to get to that. You also put gigs on in Brighton and beginning in Worthing before that under the name Tatty Seaside Town.
Yes,
and you're still doing that, or you're still going to be doing that?
Yeah, a bit. Yeah, I've scaled down quite a bit. So I'm generally just dealing with like friends, really,
right?
Rather than dealing with like just booking touring bands and through agents all the time. Although with certain circumstances, that's avoidable. But but yeah, I just keep it real, you know.
Yeah, I've dug up a couple of posters actually.
Nice.
This is from Valentine's Day. Irritatingly, I can't remember what year. Posters should always say the year on, by the way.
Yeah, I thought that retrospectively.
My guess is it's 2017, but I got a big one off the wall. There we are. Ooh, and it's,
sounds about
if anyone's ever been to a Tatty Seaside Town show, you know that the flyers are this shape and the posters are this shape, and they're always on a luminous backdrop.
Yeah.
So this was
kind of inspired by the Americans. Did that a bit.
Okay, like who?
Yeah. Well, I think Frank Kozik especially liked the long form.
Yeah.
And because their idea of it was they just sort of stapled them to telegraph poles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I'd probably get slapped with a big fine if I did that. But
yeah.
But yeah, I dig it, and no one else seems to have ripped me off. So.
No, it's good. I guess you could get like 2 or 3 to an A4 sheet cut down.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, for the flyers.
Yeah. The flyers.
4. 4.
Right. There you go. Yeah. And the other poster I have is also a show that you put on, and this is 2008 because it actually has the year on it. But it was a screen printed one. Someone made 20 of them and must have sold them at the gig. I probably picked it up. And
exactly.
It was,
nice.
Trencher and headquarters. Yeah. And there's the date, 2008.
I should realise by now, shouldn't I, that that's what I need to do. But
yeah. But it's nice. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
Interestingly, these are almost exactly 10 years apart. These 2 gigs.
Right. Yeah.
This is this is Valentine's Day, and this is 16th of February. And the first time you put us on was actually in Worthing.
Yes.
Yeah. And how many shows did you put on in Worthing before moving?
Wasn't that many. Probably no more than 10, I don't think.
Right. And that was we played at the Vintners Parrot.
Right. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah. And it was with we played with Lords and something else, local band maybe.
Some local band that and I can't remember who else opened. Doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, Lords and Hey Colossus. It's only your 3rd gig, I believe.
Yeah, so we're talking. This is 2003, probably. Yeah, and I was speaking to Tim Hall, who was our drummer then in a previous episode, and his mum and dad came because he's from Worthing, and his mum and dad stood right in front of us while we played. So but I also have a feeling that you put Stanton on as well.
Yes, did, and that was the day before your final show.
Oh, okay.
In in London, wherever it was, East London, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the Arts Cafe. We put an all-dayer on at the Arts Cafe, a Johnson family all-dayer. It was like Joey Fat, the Conline, and a few others. There was about 10 bands.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember. That would have been 2003 as well then. So that would have been early 2003. And then Colossus was late 2003. Yeah.
What a year.
Sorry?
What a year.
Yeah. Strong year. So how many shows do you think you've put on?
No idea. Not really a numbers nerd, so I don't know. Probably a couple of hundred or something, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe more. Interesting. I've never actually pondered that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. Again, if you as an American promoter, in the same way that if we were an American band, we would have fully listed every gig we've ever done.
Yeah,
probably documented somewhere, and it would be the same for you. You'd have it documented, but we don't either. I couldn't tell you how many gigs we've played in the same way that you can't. There, no idea.
Just get on with it, don't we?
Just get on with it. Make the best of a bad job. And then you got embroiled certainly at the beginning, up to a certain point with Supernormal Festival.
Yes, not at the very beginning.
Right.
In fact, I didn't even know about the first one they did, but then nobody else did either, because literally nobody went.
Okay.
I've seen video footage of it, and it's like, tumbleweed. Like, a little kid will be wheeling along on a little bike, in front of the stage where there's about 3 people watching someone play. And then the one I went to was obviously the year after that, which probably shouldn't have happened and very nearly didn't. But there was a bit of a concerted push from people, and you sort of like outsiders like myself just got swept up in the push and encouraged a bunch of others. And there was actually quite a lot of people from down this way went.
Right.
But it was still like, couple of hundred people. So you imagine.
Yeah, was that the year that Faust played?
That was the very first one.
Right.
Which, it took them, up until like a year or two beyond that to actually pay for it, for that one.
Oh, okay.
So it was, there's 1 or 2 of them sort of like stumped up for it and
right.
just held their nerve until things got better.
Yeah. That's the way with all this stuff, isn't it? You need to stick it out the early ones.
Yeah. So my involvement was for the 3rd one.
Okay.
So I mean, I sort of like got in touch with them sort of after the 2nd one that we went to.
Yeah.
It's really just like the vibe so much. I thought, this is cool. I want to be involved, and hopefully I can sort of like help them out here. Because half the bands they booked that year didn't turn up. They were, because I think word got out that there was just no money in it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that went on.
Right.
But despite that, it was still cool.
Yeah.
I really liked it. So and I knew Jimmy.
Yeah.
So that was all good.
Yeah.
And I think I'd been on the committee for like just shortly, and I think through one unique signal, they put me onto John Lynch.
Okay.
He tapped me up, and I sort of like got him involved as well, and he's still, so he's still involved, and we both became quite integral parts of it for a few years.
No, I remember you, John Lynch, Jimmy Martin there, patrolling, making sure, like cracking the whip. I think me and John were, I think that was an alien concept to them until then. Because no matter how like free you want something, you also want it to run to time a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you can't.
Which is quite a big ask considering the the layout and but there's very little resource, and so it was pretty miraculous, really. It's a far cry from what it is now.
Yeah. Well, I remember you asked us to play. I think you asked us the Christmas of 2012 in the Globe pub in Brentford. You said to me, I'm involved in this thing. Few people didn't turn up last year. We could do with some trustworthy, at least. You don't have to be good. You just need to be trustworthy. Turn up. I was like, we're pretty good at turning up. If nothing else, we're average at turning up. And we did. And I think that was 2013 that we played. I think.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not very good with numbers.
Yeah, I think it was because Tim Cedar was drumming for us for that year, and he was the drummer at that.
Oh yeah, that'd be it then. Yeah.
And I think, and I've been to 4 or 5 of them. I think played a couple, but been to 4 or 5, and I've always really enjoyed it. So great.
Yeah. It's the only sort of festival that we really consider going. Still go. Obviously, no, I'm not involved, so I'm there as a punter these days. Which is cool. Actually get to enjoy it a bit.
Yeah. But there's, well, the supernormal conversation has come up quite a few times. So we probably don't want to go on about too much, but if you had a top 5 bands that you've seen there, have a little think, and maybe you can either hit me now or at some point in this conversation.
I don't know. I mean, I saw Barney's one, and you covered a few there. So some of those are my favourites as well. But let me think. Frank Fairfield would have been another one.
Okay.
I think you said the Dawson one, didn't you? The first Richard Dawson.
I said Richard Dawson. I didn't know if that was his first one. The one I saw was in the barn.
Yes, that was the first one. Yeah, that was amazing. The Rebel, I think you mentioned, that was also one of my favourites. But I don't know if you were there the following year when he did. He was there as the Stallion.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't see that. I'd like to have seen that.
Yeah, so they just did The Wall, Not an abridged version, because the record, their version of it is like a 3-album set.
Yeah.
So yeah, they condensed it down to about like 40 minutes or something.
Yeah. So you're an enormous Country Teasers fan, correct?
Yes.
You're a big fan. Yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
And you did go on tour with them once.
I joined them on tour for the Texas leg of their first American tour, and that's 1999. And the only reason I remember that is because it's on a T-shirt. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty.
And how many shows did you see on that? How many?
3 shows and an in-store.
Oh yeah, I love an in-store.
Yeah, the in-store is great.
Yeah,
and it's like different set as well.
Right.
They messed about with it a bit, so that was good.
Were they a particularly debauched band? I never really know.
Relatively debauched, yeah. Yeah, whilst in Houston there was some popper abuse. Yeah.
Very 90s.
Yeah. Yeah, that was prior to being asked to a speakeasy after the show. Yeah, they'd given an address, and just when you get there, sort of like just knock on the door and tell them Missy sent you.
Hello, Texas.
Yeah. But yeah, there's quite a few anecdotes about that whole few days that I was with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they had a sort of like a van that was just about big enough for them.
Yeah,
because there's about 6 of them.
Was it because this record's from 1999?
Mm-hmm.
So were they touring this record, or was it like a Crypt related tour, or?
I think it was Crypt to sort of like set it up.
Yeah.
And then it all went a bit wrong, like they fell out almost immediately after it.
Right. After the tour.
Yeah. I think, like they were left a bit high and dry arrangement wise. And also they got a load of merch off of Crypt to sell.
Yeah.
But then Crypt wanted all the money for it when they got back. They sort of started and ended at New York for their flights and everything.
Yeah, because Crypt is in Germany now. Was Crypt in America then?
Oh, sorry, not Crypt.
Because this is Fat Possum.
Yeah, no, it was an American label. I think the Crypt thing had fallen through way before that.
That's what I was wondering, because this is Fat Possum, 1999. Yeah.
So yeah, it might have been Fat Possum, or some garage label again.
Yeah.
Slightly yeah, it's kind of odd. They were generally unknown.
Yeah. But
there were a few people who did know them at every show. Not many. But then, sort of like fast forward a few years, and you got like John Dwyer from the OCs booking them for Ultimo's parties, and had a chat with him, and he goes, "Yeah, and they're one of your national treasures, man."
Because you put the coach whips. Did you put them on?
Didn't put them on. No, that wasn't one of mine. But
right.
I was there.
Yeah. So have you put any John Dwyer gigs on, or anyone like?
No, I haven't. No, I sort of met him at that, chatted to him.
Right.
But it wasn't one of mine. I think I can't remember now, but I think Epideme might have been opening for him. So
Barney's band.
Yeah, so that would have been why I was there like early enough to chat to him.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it was Phil that put it on. It might have been Phil because he was doing gigs as well.
Could have been. Don't remember. Yeah. John Dwyer was pretty good. It was because coach whips weren't very big, were they, back then? You know,
no, because that was a free butt, I think. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, and I said, "Yeah, looking forward to this." And he goes, "Yeah, the good times are back."
And are they? Have they ever been? Have they ever been away?
Have they ever been away?
No. And so, if you was to think about the gigs you put on, like, what have you got? Any particular favourites or any like?
I thought you might. So I don't know. There's many obvious choices, you know, with some big figures like Mike Watt and people like that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. By the way, we're going to come back.
I see. Okay, but probably the one that sticks with me the most, and I always like to bring up. There was a while I was doing Sunday afternoon shows upstairs at the Albert, and they tended to be the sort of more experimental, different, like non-guitar bands, basically.
Yeah.
And I did Vitamin B12. Do you know those?
Oh, the name rings a bell. I just remember seeing the name about. Right. Don't know them.
Okay, Brighton based. It's mainly just one guy, but he assembles a load of people around him. Yeah. Mainly people from like an improv scene.
Right. Okay.
And he gives them all a brief before the show, like what we're going to do. And this one, there was about 10 or so of them, and it was all entirely they just had handheld tape recorders.
Right.
That was it. No, they obviously had cassettes in them, but there's nothing, no blank cassettes. So they just randomly started pressing record. Stop, rewind, play.
Yeah.
And it very slowly, with loads of people doing that at different times, it just slowly built up into this cacophony. It was magic.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Really good.
Yeah. I've seen that sort of thing. That's cool.
They did play one of the ATPs, Vincent Gallo one.
All right.
He got them, and they sort of like, I think pretty much everyone he knew, Arthur Brighton, was in Vitamin B12.
I bet they were that day, yeah.
Yeah. And they played for something ridiculous, like 4.5 hours or something. They started like around breakfast time.
How did the famous actor Vincent Gallo hear of Vitamin B12?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's pretty well connected, isn't he? So he's obviously, a fan. They do release records, or they did, and they're all very hand produced.
Yeah.
Very limited.
I know. Because Gallo released records on Warp, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Well, Vitamin B12 were never anywhere near Warp records, so.
My guess is that Vincent Gallo wouldn't have been if he wasn't Vincent Gallo. That's the cynic. That's the cynic in me speaking.
I think that's fair to say.
And now you do the occasional all-dayer at the Green Door store, right? I've seen those still happening, where you have the naughty corner. I like the naughty corner.
Yeah. Well, the naughty corner is kind of like an extension of those Sunday afternoon gigs.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. So when I've been there, the ones that I've been at, because I don't live in Brighton,
unless I'm sort of involved in playing, I probably wouldn't go because it's the other side of the country. So the ones I've seen, you have like traditional bands or whatever, drums and whatnot in the big room, and then when they've finished, the naughty corner kicks off, and it'll be someone solo-y or maybe a duo.
Duo, yeah. Something without drums, basically, you know.
Okay, that's
yeah, that's pretty much the remit that that can go through a couple of amps.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I like it. It's a nice touch. Yeah. You don't really see other people doing it, so it's kind of good, and it gives people a chance to like fiddle or experiment or whatever. So it's good. The one I wanted to come back to was the Mike Watt one, just quickly before we move on to the actual reason we're here.
Records.
So I'm just going to show a record just for the hell of it. It's the Minutemen album. It's a classic. So you put Mike Watt on, the bass player from the Minutemen, and there was a photo that did the rounds just after, and it was him in your kitchen wearing a dressing gown.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
And my question is, had he gone on tour with a dressing gown, or did you supply him a dressing gown? I
did not supply. A dressing gown wasn't an item on the rider.
I was wondering.
No, we'd barely been indoors for like 5 minutes, and he's getting changed into his pajamas in the kitchen, and then produces a gown in which to odd guy.
That photo did the rounds in amongst our little world, and I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome!"
I don't know. I've even seen that actually, that photo. So,
yeah. And how was he as a person?
He's a lovely guy, eccentric as you might expect, but he's great.
Yeah. Chats a lot.
Yeah.
Does he talk a lot?
Oh God, yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
As you might imagine. Yeah.
I'm wondering, he famously talks, doesn't he? He famously talks quite a lot. Yeah.
He's a massive consumer as well. We just sort of like rattled on about sort of old bands from like the 70s and that.
Yeah.
And what punk represented to us and all that sort of thing, So
yeah. Oh, that was awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
A night with what?
Yeah.
How did he do his dressing gown up tightly? I don't like someone who's a bit loose with the dressing gown.
I got to say I don't recall. The dressing gown specifics.
I can't handle a loose dressing gown.
Let's assume tight.
Good. Let's tuck into some records here, and we'll switch around all over the place after that. So the first one I've got here is record from Favourite Record Shop. And this is, you can't pick your own, Edgeworld, although you can if you want. But maybe one from like the history or current or however you want to play it. It's your...
Okay. Well, I mean, I thought about this, and I don't think I've ever had an absolute favourite record shop. I just sort of, gone to wherever was available, and and I mean, in my sort of my youth, there was a lot of record shops around. Every town had at least one.
Yeah.
Even the smallest little place would have at least one, and a sort of like two bob town would have like three.
Yeah, right.
It was nuts. So I would just do them all,
And where was your youth?
Okay, so I lived in the sticks in sort of rural Surrey. So my nearest place was Guildford, but that was like 12 miles away. That was an hour's bus ride.
Right.
I went to school in Cranley, which is exactly. But it said the sort of like dubious infamy of being the largest village in the country. There was a record shop there.
That's a fact that a lot of people claim, isn't it? That those like largest villages, smallest cities, all of this. Anyhow,
it's prime bullshit, prime stockbroker belt
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Bollocks. You know. There was a shop there called Music Craft, which was a record shop, but it was rubbish.
Mm-hmm.
But every record shop back then was a chart shop, so it would have the top 30 in. But yeah, nothing else you'd want. You'd be all right if you wanted a Carole King album, probably,
Right.
Or Melanie,
Right.
something like that. But it was, you go there, for a plectrum or a Jaws harp. It's that sort of place. Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine these days it would just be full of dream catchers and Dayglow.
Sounds like Glastonbury High Street.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's even exists. I don't know. But Guildford had loads, and but there was one that I went to more than the rest.
Okay.
And initially it was called Head Sounds,
Whoa.
because it was quite a sort of hippie shop. First time I went in there, there's a lot of people called Head Sounds because they had loads of like headphones to listen to.
Oh, okay.
And so I went in and there was all these older kids who were like hippies and that. And one of them going, yeah, Floyd. Kind of thing. Well, I think first time I went there, I came out with this.
Oh.
Do you know the Emperor Roscoe?
I don't think I know him. No.
No, well, he was a DJ.
Okay.
But I don't know if he was on Radio 1 or whatever, but he's just played soul records and stuff. And loads of like over the top chat in between. He thought he was like Wolfman, that kind of. Yeah. But yeah, this has got some, this is all like Atlantic soul stuff on it.
Yeah, no, see the lineup looks strong on there, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he does all his DJing in between tracks, which is all like well over the top. It's still pretty cool. Listen now, actually.
Right. Yeah.
So that's there, and then it became Bonaparte's, and it remained Bonaparte's for quite a long time.
As in Napoleon. Yes. Right. Okay.
Yeah. And that sort of like that took it into the punk years as well. So I would regularly raid in there. There's loads of other places around town as well, and all the sort of other places that sold records like Woolies and WH Smiths and Boots and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, they all did. Yeah,
and they all mark their records down, so you just do a huge sweep and hoover up all the cheap stuff.
Yeah. And was any of these like particularly inspiring for you? Like, do you look back and think, okay, yeah, no, that sort of shop there inspired me to start Edgeworld?
Not directly, no. No, not really. That's cool, but yeah, I mean, maybe to some degree, subconsciously, but I wasn't even thinking about that at that point.
No.
So yeah, it's odd. But yeah, Bonaparte's was good. That supplied me with a lot of classics.
Yeah, and you was about to dig into something then. Go back over.
Okay. Well, things like the first Devo EP, but this is an original on Bougie Boy Records, not the stiff reissue.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Yes, gatefold. Wicked.
Is how's Bougie spelt on that?
I think it's just with just I on the end, as in boogie, but
yeah, because there's a band from Canada called the Bougie Boys who I really like.
Yeah, it's with a J.
Yeah, so they're called the Bougie Boys.
J-I.
They're named after that label then. Okay, I didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Do you know this?
No.
Right, I think it's just about 78 or something. But it was it's just really amazingly great power pop tours. They're from Weymouth. But yeah, it's just one of those ones. And the sleeve is like, printed PVC.
Yeah, see that. Swire.
Yeah, which hasn't stood the test of time very well. But this is sort of just typical of the sort of record that I would maybe hear once and then go into Bonaparte's and nab.
Yeah. And where were you hearing them?
Probably on John Peel.
Right. Still.
I mean,
I've always got the book to hand for whenever.
Yeah. I mean, if there's anyone that I would give hero status for me, it's John Peel.
Right.
You know, I mean, that guy shaped my life for like 30 years. So, you know, yeah. And that's another conversation. But
yeah, did you meet him in had you met him at any point, or did you meet him in 2002-03 when we did the sessions
there? Didn't meet him then. Or he was a bit busy, really. Yeah. But I have met him a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
In fact, one of my memories records.
Okay, we'll get to that.
Include. So cool. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So we're talking Guildford and Head Music, Bonaparte's, and what you said some other one as well. But
no, that was it. That's the only ones I mentioned. But yeah, there was others, but none of them were, you know, really anything out of the ordinary. But Bonaparte's was well stocked when it came to it. One good memory of them, actually, just remembered. I went there one afternoon, and it was closed. And there's a notice in the window said, closed early, gone to see Dave Mason at Hammersmith Odeon. Dave Mason was like, used to be in Traffic. Yeah. So these guys weren't particularly punks, but they were still. The fact that these guys were fans of music, regardless of what the music was, and I like that about them. You know, it was an inconvenience they weren't open, but I quite like the excuse they gave. It's like, I bet we've gone fishing. You know,
Melvins was selling one of those like signs you could hang in your door, and it just said, "Sorry, we're Melvins."
Yes, yeah. There's probably good cause for them to be apologetic.
Yeah, especially at the minute. Anyhow, so yeah, let's move on to Record of Memories then. Let's talk about your man.
Okay, right. Well, just a couple more there. Okay, right. It's this Dr. Alimantado, which I think did Paul mention Dr. Alimantado?
Yes, he had Best Dressed Chicken in Town, the album.
Yeah, well, I've got a single here, which is on what was purported to be chicken skin vinyl. But that's Best Dressed Chicken in Town is a typical sort of like jar stepper, but this one, Born for a Purpose, is just my favourite reggae song ever.
Oh, okay.
It's more of a song, but it's got all that like absolutely classic sort of roots dub production. He did produce it, actually. She's got Winston Thompson. Relative of yours?
Yeah, Dad. Yeah.
Yeah, Winnie. Yeah.
Right.
It's still my favourite reggae record today. And I probably did first hear it on Peel.
Yeah.
But once John Peel was playing, he did, because he used to do that John Peel road show back in the day,
right,
when he probably wasn't paid that much.
Yeah.
And so he had to supplement it with gigs. And I can't remember, it was a gig, you know, with like some bands, and I can't remember who, but it was at Surrey University,
right,
Guildford, and he come on, and he goes, well, I'm going to be playing records now for the next half an hour or so until the next band comes on, so I suggest you'll piss off to the pub. Of course I didn't, you know, and people were requesting stuff from him, but you know, they were just asking for like Sex Pistols and stuff, predictable stuff, which was just annoying him, you know. And I went up and asked for that, and he was like, "Oh, mate, kind of thing. Yeah. And that was we bonded over Dr. Alamantado.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I love that record. The album. I don't know that song.
Don't know if that's on the album or not. Actually, don't have the album. But
I am terrible with song titles. Like even my favorite bands, I can't name the songs by them. I've got I can name the albums, but I don't know.
There's one other with memories, which would be this. Viv Stanshall.
Oh yeah.
Sir Henry at Rawlingson End. It's pretty much spoken word or sort of like a radio play.
Yeah.
And again, these used to be serialized on Peel. That would be like his session that day. It would take the whole time allocated for a session. It would just be in one go. And I think Viv Stanshall, did about 4 or 5 of these.
Right.
And it was like an ongoing series. It was all about Sir Henry each time. Sir Henry at Rawlingson End. Just ridiculous, over the top. If you know Viv Stanshall,
yeah, a little bit. I don't know. I don't know deep.
He used to be in the Bonzos.
Yeah, the Bonzo Doodah, whatchamacallit.
Yeah. And then just became like this ridiculous, eccentric, overtly English,
Yeah.
You can imagine, and that's this alter ego of Sir Henry. It's like lives in a crumbling mansion sort of thing, Not that far from the truth, with a lot of things nowadays. But yeah, that's a big memory of like Peel sessions and stuff. And I used to tape them and put them on a tape and send on a mixtape and send them to Liz, who way before we were married. She was doing a nurse training in London.
Yeah,
I was still in the sticks, and I'd send her fresh mixtapes.
Yeah. I used to do that. That's something we all did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But then this album came out like years later, and I didn't get it, and I found it relatively recently. I can't remember where, and just snaffled it up. And whenever we stick it on, it's just like we know all the words, not reenacting it. It's one of those classics.
The mixtape is a way of men who can't communicate getting their point across to the person they're desperately trying to attract.
And do
you like grindcore?
Yeah,
I like grindcore.
Here's some of that.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. I love mixtapes. Are cool. Would that be a bargain find? Hit me with a bargain find.
Bargain find. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a few.
Yeah. Cool.
But I've tried to narrow it down. But so this, I don't know if you can read that because it's very reflective. Carla Bley,
right.
Escalator over the hill.
Okay. Yeah. Just about make it out. Yeah.
It's something from about 74 or something like that. It's kind of jazz but prog. It's a 3-album box set.
Right.
I'll get the booklet out.
Yeah.
Lots of and it's got a load of sort of like big jazzers in there. UK. It's quite proggy though.
Right. I don't know.
But it's something I was always interested in at the time. I remember seeing like an advert for it. I think it's vaguely to do with Virgin Records, but very early on. Right, it's not on Virgin, but it's one of these affiliated labels. What was it? JDOA Records or something.
Okay, right, yeah.
Whatever that is. But yeah, pick that up for something ridiculous, like about £3 or something.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I think at a record fair.
Okay, yeah, that's weird. Like, box sets can sometimes go cheaper than anything. Like,
yeah, they're hard to shift, you know,
Yeah.
at full price, that's for sure. So yeah, they often end up a lot cheaper. Another one, Wild Man Fisher.
Okay, don't know that.
No, he was. It's on Bizarre Records, so which was Zappa's label.
Right.
And he was like his protege, but he was like proper sort of like outsider, street performer who would just sort of like blag his way into shows and that, and he would just like sing a cappella, and he was like, you know, mentally impaired kind of thing, as it might suggest. And that's him with his mum.
And who is it?
Yeah.
Say his name again.
Wild Man Fisher.
Okay.
Like, yeah, he just like lived on the streets in LA.
Right.
But he just does all this. I suppose a latter day equivalent would be someone like thingy Johnston.
Daniel Johnson.
Or who's the other? Yeah, or there's somebody else I can't think of.
Moondog.
But yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, was it Moondog?
Moondog,
guy?
sort of. Yeah, it doesn't sound like him at all. He just sort of like sings in this sort of like type voice all the time. Yeah, there he is with in front of
Zappa. Yeah, I see Zappa there. Yeah.
The Mothers. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he does look.
So yeah, that's really hard to get. And I think I found it for a couple of quid or something. I like John Zorn a lot as well.
Okay.
You know John Zorn?
Yeah.
Sort of avant jazz character.
Yeah.
And I heard some stuff from this album, and then went to get it, and it was like, nah, you'll never find that. And of course, eventually you do. You know.
Yeah.
But, yeah, this is him doing sort of music that's at least inspired by Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. So I got that. And also managed to get this one, which you may be more familiar with.
Torture Garden. Oh yeah. Are we talking like no wavy stuff here? Is that right? This
is John Zorn again, but with Brill Fizell, Fred Frith, people like that. Right. And it's got Eye on it from the Boredoms. So it's a little more, a bit more contemporary. Yeah. But yeah, this is kind of like jazz grindcore, really.
Yeah, I was thinking like
power violin.
Yeah. What did you think of like? Are we slightly covering like the New York no wavy world here a little bit?
That itself is a long way after that, but yeah, that's an area that I really do like as well.
Yeah,
I might have pulled out like I had a Teenage DNA, really great. Yeah, I love all that stuff.
Yeah, I took a punt
Atonal.
on this. Yeah, I took a punt on this. This is a really nice like comp.
Yeah,
type
it's
thing,
good, isn't it? Yeah, makes you want to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. All those old flyers like that. Americans do that. I was wondering,
like that era. We're talking like late 70s, early 80s, or whatever. Where your music was, because if you were digging deep at this point, were you like kind of avoiding like the Sex Pistols and like going deeper? So like, I was thinking like maybe like a Crass type thing, or like in America.
No, I can't. I don't think I was aware of DNA at that time. Right. To be fair, Crash I did know about, but I didn't flirt with because of the politics. Really, I just didn't really want to get involved. I think at that point I was balls deep into the Fall and stuff like that. So
I've got one of the lesser liked Fall albums that I really, really like. I think there'll be a resurgence in that era of the Fall at one point.
But I'd say it's here now, it seems, you know, amongst people we talk to. Yeah, all those sort of like unfashionable 90s and noughties albums, you know, people are saying are now some of their best. I'm less familiar with them myself, so I need to sort of like tuck in again.
So the OG Fall fans, say yourself, probably like jumped off at Nation Saving Grace, or maybe a bit after, like Extricate or something.
Yeah, probably went into the early 90s or something, like, you know, Infotainment Scan or something like that. I started to just sort of like peel away, not buy everything systematically, you know, but I'll still pick stuff up if I saw it, but yeah, it wasn't like a completist at that point. Well, so, up to a certain point. Before that I was,
because I just want to show one other record from that era that I really like, and I wondered if this sort of band ever touched you, and maybe it's similar to Crass because it was maybe slightly political, but the Zounds album.
Zounds, again, I didn't really know them that much at the time, but yeah, aware of them. I
just want.
I'd say of all that stuff, all that sort of like Crash record stuff, I think Flux of Pink Indians were probably my favourite. But yeah, I mean, now I love it all, actually. I've got all the Crash records now, but I didn't go there at the time, you know. I didn't do that whole black combat trousers or anything, you know.
The reason I hold this one up, this is Penis Envy, is
it
is my favourite Crass album.
Right.
And I like a lot of their records, but for some reason, I think it's the female-fronted vibe of it. It just gives it a different twist, and the lyrics are. I just think it's brilliant, this record. And like, I think that what's underrated about a band like this is the rhythms that they do. It's not like there's something else going on. Oh, nice cup. Yeah, it's anyhow, it's just you know, because what else did I have here from that era? I picked out a few from that era just because the other one still kept my music and video exchange.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I got that when it came out because I was big into them. Used to go to gigs at the Lyceum. Which would there'd be like about 5 or 6 bands, and so they'd start around Sunday tea time and go on until 10:30 or something.
Nice.
And we used to have to leg it back over Waterloo Bridge to get the last train. But Gang of Four were part of that, as were the Fall. Delta 5, the Mekon, stuff like that. And we were all over that.
I bet. It would have been a very good band to see. And I've still got this was £5 from Music and Video Exchange. I'm showing this for Phil, who used to work there from the previous episode.
Result.
And like, these are the records that get reissued now, and they're 25 quid. Yet you can, you can still pick them up for a reasonable price, knackered and battered. It's fine. So I just wanted to cover that era just very briefly. Actually, the last one was perhaps these. I think American, but like more whatever, poppy, but still like, you know.
Those two are great. That's the first two, isn't it?
And like, these were £2.
No, that's the first and the third, I think.
Right. Yeah. Great.
Is there more songs about chocolate and girls or something? Is that the second one? Something like that.
I can picture the sleeve. I'm not an expert. I just like these records, and they're £2, so I'm like, I'll pick up records. All day long.
They're worth having.
So it's just interesting if you got to see those bands at the time, because like for most people I know or whatever, like ATP was our world for a while, and so we would get to see, say, Gang of Four at ATP. Like
it wasn't the same.
Reformed elderly version of Gang of Four.
I saw that. That was at Minehead, wasn't it? And exactly all the sort of like the youngsters who obviously too young to have seen them first time, were all over it, and I was like, it's all right. You know, it's not. You know, I think for one of the main dynamics that it just sets it apart is like they never had that sort of bombastic sort of sound systems back then.
Yeah.
You know, so it didn't sound like that.
No, right. It sounded more sort of high pitched, I would have thought.
Yeah, a lot more wiry, and you know,
yeah.
It's different. That's the thing with like these big shows like that. You know, the first thing you feel is the bass, just physical. It's great if it's something like the Bug, but you know, when it's a band that's not their dynamic, then it's sometimes it's just too much. You know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah, that's very true. yeah. Okay. We're going to go for Bought on Tour, and I think you've got a different angle or two on this, and I'm allowing it.
Well, obviously, I've never been on tour as such, not being in a band. So, I mean, I haven't got any records here for it, but did go on holiday once. We went camping in France. We started off in Paris and camping in the Bois de Boulogne, but it was just with some mates, and we knew of this punk shop in Paris. So this would have been quite early on.
Yeah.
And the shop was called Harry Cover.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, I went there, and and it was kind of cool. It was mostly like those sort of European picture sleeve things that you see around of like English releases.
Yeah.
So you know, they have all like God Save the Queen, but it'd be a look on Skydog or something like that. You know, on the sleeve, which I probably should have bought because it's worth shitloads now. But I just went for some interesting ones.
Right.
Came away with a single by Telephone, which was shit.
Right, brilliant, excellent.
Dinky Toys, which was shit.
Right, brilliant.
And Metal Urbane, which was amazing.
Ooh, I don't know that.
You know them?
No, I don't.
Metal Urbane. Well, this was on some French label, but then very shortly after that, it got reissued on Rough Trade. I think it might even have been Rough Trade #1.
Oh, really? Okay.
But that's how early it was as well, you know.
Yeah.
But amazing. Yeah, I think they shortened their name to Metal U or something after a bit, and then morphed into another band. But they were pretty visceral, and there wasn't anyone really sounding like them. They were the first punk band I'd heard that used a drum machine.
Oh, okay. So what year were Metal Urbane?
77, I think, 78.
Right.
Sort of thing. Yeah, I've got a CD with everything they've done on it now. But I couldn't lay my hands on the 7-inch. But yeah. So that's kind of like a on tour of sorts.
Yeah.
But then the other sort of like angle of of this sort of thing for me, equivalent of would be like merch table purchases or quite often as a promoter, I would like gift or exchange. You know, like here's a tote bag.
Here's a tote bag.
Like that, and I may come away with a.
If it ain't TST, it ain't worth a fuck. There you go. But I should have ironed it. So
enough said. Well,
apologize.
It looks lived in.
Yeah.
But right. So a few merch table records that I really like.
Yeah. Cool.
Messange.
Okay.
You know Messange?
No.
Current, actually.
Okay.
It's Messange is a Gat Max violinist.
Oh yeah.
And Luke from Mugstar.
Oh, okay.
He's on guitar. It's just the two of them. Yeah. Great.
What label's that on? What label's that on there?
I think this was self-released. No, it's not. It's on God Unknown. I should have known that.
Yeah.
So Jason's label.
Jason's label. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Kath and Phil Tyler.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really just beautiful folk English, crystalline, really moving songs. Yeah. That's merch table gold.
Yeah.
And
that's new. I've got that.
Modern technology. Yeah. I imagine you've got this. Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's really good. I like their vibe. Slightly sort of like Bauhaus type.
Yeah.
Pete Murphy element to the voice.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Which is not a fashionable delivery. So I like that.
Yeah. Because I don't have that. I did pick up a few bits, but yeah. Oh, the other bit of merch that I've got. This is common amongst all of us. You know what I'm going to hold up because you probably heard it drop on the floor.
Yeah.
Everyone I know has one of these.
Yeah. Most of them though are just worn off.
Oh, it should say like TST 10 or something on there. What did it say?
Yeah. It was like sort of 10th anniversary.
Yeah.
Of TST, and that was like a weekender. So it's like what is now the all-dayers. It was actually then a 2-dayer.
Yeah. So everyone I know's got one of these attached to the door key, and everyone's worn off in about 2 days. It's really annoying. But so yeah.
Should have issued 2, shouldn't I? One to use, one to keep in condition. Just like a record.
Yeah. People do that. People buy. I sell 2 records to people. People are weird like that. Yeah.
Have you got any of the wristbands?
I do not here. I do have a wristband. It's got TST written on it somewhere.
Yeah.
I might have even given it to Freddie, my youngest kid at the time.
Right.
Yeah, but yes, I did pick up some of them.
Your item.
Yeah. A record that people wouldn't think that you would like.
Okay, right. Well, that's an interesting question because it's hard to sort of like do. That could be interpreted in many ways, really.
Yeah.
I could be really obtuse with my choice, and then show something like that.
Okay.
Which I really like. That's a good picture on the back there.
And is that just recordings of?
Yeah, BBC Wildlife Series number 2. Yeah, it's like lives with the sound effect records, but I've actually DJ'd with that before as well. So,
many rebookings for your DJ set
back in the day, Oh, what else? I could be really sort of like ironic, and the first 2 Oasis albums, which I have to say are pretty banging.
You like them,
Yeah. But I think what would really I would go for is this Ruth Wallace. She was like this sort of like a cruise ship entertainer.
Yeah,
like in the Caribbean, and would just knock all these albums out, and it's kind of like that sort of almost burlesque, that kind of sort of strip club type, like just endless innuendo. All the lyrics are those, but salty songs for underwater listening.
It's quite a saucy looking sleeve there.
Yeah, and that saucy redhead. Yeah, and I've actually managed to amass about half a dozen of her records now. These are the best covers.
Yeah.
But that was the one that got me into her. Yeah, it's just really good, really entertaining.
What sort of music is it? What are we talking here?
Kind of easy listening sort of thing, really.
Right.
But but she is like it's that sort of risque, saucy entertainer. But great covers.
1950s.
I think so. Yeah. Well, it's never going to say a year, is it? But yeah, I think yeah, 50s, early 60s kind of vibe, you know, for moneyed Americans.
Yeah, it's interesting because Ralph Bassclef, one of the records he chose was kind of similar. It was a female harp player, like big harp player, and she would work in a Las Vegas restaurant, and she would sit in a clamshell in the middle of the Las Vegas restaurant and spin around playing the harp.
Whoa.
And then at the end of the night, if you liked it, you could buy the album.
Like, I think that vibe was not uncommon back then. Not about harp players in clams, but that sort of entertainment in a restaurant, and you could purchase the stuff. I think crackers.
Yeah,
I forgot with the merch table stuff. I forgot to mention about like cassettes as well, actually. Because I like a cassette, me.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's often it's a merch table staple, isn't it? And they're usually nice and cheap, and they can fit in your pocket.
Yeah.
So, I pulled a few. That's one of my favourites. Casual Sect.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know them.
Yeah, that's on Box, isn't it? That's Matt Pigg's label. Yeah. The logo's on the front there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it was cassette only. That's one of my favourites. It's just if you don't know them, it's just shouty girl punk, which I'm a bit of a sucker for.
It was the Death Sclater bass player.
Was he the bass player? He plays drums in Casual Sect anyway.
Yeah, I think he was the bass player in that second. He's their second bass. Death Sclater's second bass player.
Kevin. Yeah. The aforementioned. Yeah. Quite nihilistic stuff. Yeah. And
Man Noise Unit.
Yeah, I think this is their first cassette. Yes, this is number 21 of 50.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think they actually sent me this, and I then booked them, and then start of a friendship as well. So
this gig. Obviously, they played for you before that, but
they played many times. Many times.
They're a great band. I love a band. So
do you know about this? Cack Sabbath. That's actually them. That's working man just being indulging their Sabbath type thing.
Volume 420.
Great. That's what sort of merch table cassettes are all about. That sort of
No,
weird,
I like a cassette. I like a cassette. I'm label wise, we've done a couple, and we have 2 or 3 more in the pipeline, and I like them because you can, you can keep them cheap. You can get them out there. It's a physical thing. It's something to look at, something to hold, and it's a way of buying the digital in a physical way, sort of thing, without spending 20 on a record. You could spend 5 on a tape. It's a nice touch. Yeah,
I'd say.
Yeah.
And they seem to be quite popular as well. So it's good.
Yeah. Okay, so my last subject is favourite 10-inch. But before we get to that, I want to switch it a bit to your record shop. And I want to talk about this record that's behind me on the top shelf. I was speaking to Barney.
Right, yeah.
Son number 1 there. And this is Aphex Twin. And it's the Drugs album, however you pronounce it. And this is the shape. Here's like a normal record.
I know, really awesome. It's like the largest box of chocks ever, isn't it?
Yeah. So if and this used to be regularly behind you in Edgeworld on the wall. And I was wondering, like, you run a record shop. we can get to 10 inches and the size of the 10-inch and whether that was an awkward thing. But when it came to stuff like this, what were you thinking when this turned up?
Yeah. I mean, 10 inches is a downscale, so it's not as bad. And for 10, I would normally put them in a 12-inch sleeve with like a card behind it.
Yeah.
Take up the space. But I don't have a problem with 10s, but yeah, something like that is just, it's just a nuisance, you know.
Fill up the whole screen.
Yeah. But that's typical. It's typical, Aphex Twin.
Yeah.
Contrary bastard, you know.
Can you think of any other awkward and irritating things to store in a record shop, like, I don't know, bobbleheads or whatever else you might have stocked?
Yeah, there's always something that, you know, just wouldn't fit. I mean, when an album is in a like slightly outsized sleeve, so it won't fit in any sort of like PVC or anything like that. And it's like, well, what do we do with this? You know, things like that. And if they got some dimension to it, you know, there's some crazy packaging, like a box that isn't very robust.
Yeah. So the story is that Colin ran Edgeworld Records in Brighton, and from what I know, the first time obviously I spoke on the phone when I worked at Vital, but then I'd eventually go down to the shop when we went to Brighton for days out, and it took me a little while to find the shop. The shop was very well hidden in the Brighton lanes area. And if I remember rightly, I think I can still remember the address because was it 6 Kensington Gardens?
That was it.
Yeah, and it was because that was written on the card. It was written on the card at work. But you were on the first floor, and it was an unmarked window, if memory serves.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me put a sign up or anything. So you know.
Oh, they wouldn't. Oh, that was the reason.
Well, I thought not like a. I mean, I had something in the window, but that was it. But you couldn't really. Yeah, you had to know. You had to be looking for that to see that. So yeah, it was kind of like, you know, hard to find. I didn't mind that because it meant that, you know, anyone who did get there did so with intent.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no tourists. You don't want tourists.
It wasn't a passing trade kind of establishment. Yeah.
And how long were you a shop at 6 Kensington Gardens?
I think it was about 13 years or something like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know at the time, but I can't remember now. But yeah, it was quite a while. And I felt I'd done my stretch.
Yeah.
By the time, we closed. You know, so yeah, it was great for a while, and then sort of like it did become a bit of a drain, to be fair.
Right.
Yeah.
What,
but
financially or mentally?
Kind of both. But yeah, financially it was like, because I was still doing record fairs. I found I had to still do record fairs to sort of supplement it.
Yeah.
It was, just the sort of stocking a record shop is expensive, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the rent wasn't too bad, but yeah.
And then I have a feeling it was before you had the shop as well, but certainly after, you were like a mobile car boot shop that would drive around a couple of the towns on the south coast.
I resent the car boot intonation. No, well, I used to do record fairs, and then I kind of jacked those in, apart from Brighton, until that finished as well.
Yeah.
But and started up just doing like these I call pop-up stalls, which would just be me with all my records in a pub.
Yeah.
I just did that in my strong towns where I've got a lot of regulars and
I know like from way back I remember Joff and Andy from 10-5 Newton
and
Tom House were like Hastings characters, And they would talk about you rolling into town with wax.
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for them because Hastings perhaps didn't have a record shop, and once a month Colin would roll in.
Yeah. And you build up relations with these guys as well, you know. So and not being part of a record fair, if it's just me going to a bar or something, and then people who come to you, they are just coming for you. Well, they're coming for the records, obviously, but but you know, it becomes a social thing as well.
Yeah.
Like I know everyone now. It's not like, you know, at a record fair, it's like passing trade, and half of them just want Elvis records or something, you know. So cut all that out, and just do it that way, and it's just, you know, you're just sitting there talking to people all the time, you know, which is great.
That's like there used to be a shop in Taunton called Black Cat Records when I first moved to Somerset, and the fella that ran it, Phil, his name is, in case he's watching, hello Phil. That shop's closed now, but one of the things he really liked was just talking to the customers. Like, that was one of the reasons for opening the shop.
Edgeworld was very much in that vein. You know, it quite quickly became a bit of a hub for the alternative music scene.
Yeah,
if you like, and that kind of like saw it over. It was as much as, you know, people would go there to put their posters up and that, and just, you know, they'd spend an hour or so just chatting.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting because Phil at Black Cat, he always had like a second person. He was the main guy, but he would have a second person working. And at one point he had this, I can't remember her name, but she'd just come from another shop. She wasn't like a record selling, she wasn't like a vinyl nut. She was just like she was just a seller, whatever. So she came from another shop. And for the first couple of weeks, she went up to Phil and was like, these people keep coming in and not buying anything and leaving. Am I doing something wrong? And Phil was like, welcome to record shop world. That is, you've...
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind that, but yeah, it would have been nice if they bought some stuff from time to time. Yeah, of course, lots of people did, but and there was a good period where there wasn't anyone doing what we were doing in Brighton. So that, I wouldn't say we cleaned up, but we did pretty well. There was a couple of years where it was, you know, turning over pretty nicely.
Yeah.
And then things like 9/11 happened, and the subsequent economic downturn.
Yeah.
Suddenly people didn't have like disposable incomes anymore, you know, or they lost their confidence about, you know, their consumer confidence like that.
Okay. Right.
So
that affected record shops, did it?
It affected mine for sure. And then, and there's other record shops in Brighton closed during that period as well, you know.
Yeah.
Much bigger than myself. Until there's just Resident left now, really, you know. So which, you know, they're very well run, but it's quite homogenized, I would say, you know, not really what I would want in a record shop.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah. They're a passing trade shop as well as a because I know where they're set. They're kind of right on the front there, aren't they? Like a big double fronted thing.
Yeah.
Fair play there. Yeah. It seems like a good shop to me. I'm not. Yeah. One of the questions I wanted to ask actually. Yeah, one of the questions I wanted to ask about it, and this is just, I don't know why I'm interested in this, but what was the best seller in the whole time? If you thought of all the years you've done Edgeworld.
Okay. Back in the heyday, there were a lot of records that were typical Edgeworld monsters sort of thing. I think one we sold loads of, which was one of Barney's picks actually, or one of his bargains.
Okay.
He didn't buy off me. and I don't even have a copy anymore. I think I've got it on CD left, but that Butter 08 album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was one that no one really knew it before they came in, but then that was another thing. A lot of people would come in and say, you know, what do I need to hear? What's good, sort of thing. And you know, we would do that. We'd sort of, check this out, kind of thing. Oh, that was one. What else? Something else here somewhere. Can't find it. It's get there in a minute. What else was big? Well, Charlotte Field's third album.
Oh, really?
That what's it called? Make It Easy on Yourself. The one on Unlabel.
Yeah.
Unlabel weren't distributed by anyone.
Right. Okay.
So they just brought it to us. And so we were the only shop in Brighton that had it.
Right.
And predictably that flew out, you know, sold a lot of that.
Yeah, cool.
But there's a single which I've got here somewhere if I can find it. Right.
Oh, yeah, I got that. I've got that. Is that Public Enemy and
it's Evolution Control Committee is basically Negative Land.
Oh, is it?
The band Negative Land. Yes, that's who it is. And on this record, they just cut Public Enemy with Herb Albert, the Tijuana brass band.
I've got that 7-inch. I didn't know it was Negative Land. I just like the song. Yeah. Yeah,
Eerie Materials, that's their own label.
Shit, I didn't know.
Yeah. I love Negative Land. Yeah. So I really love this. And this was another thing. I would just sort of like just push this on anyone who came in.
Yeah.
And most people loved it. And a single was relatively affordable.
Was there a different sleeve to that? Mine might be a white one.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, there was a few different variants on it.
Yeah.
But at one point I asked Cargo, on the computer there, have you got any way of knowing how many copies of this I've had? And it took them a little while. They looked it up, and it was like ridiculous. It's about 250 or something like that. You know, I just kept reordering it. I'm sure, for a record that no one's really heard of.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know why I've got it then. I wouldn't have got it from you, but I'm gonna dig it up. Yeah.
Well, you might have done.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I didn't know it was Negative Land for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I'd say those were like big sellers for us. Right. But there's always odd little nuggets that people didn't know. We find them where the things like we had the jump on stuff like Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. Right.
And and we'd have about sort of like 3 weeks before the other shops caught on.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Your finger's on the pulse. Your finger was on the pulse with that stuff in particular.
Well, and sort of weird.
Yeah.
Weird alternative racket. Then that's where you would go for it.
I bet. I can imagine Wonderful Rainbow must have flown, like that album in particular. Like their second album.
Sold a lot of that for sure.
Yeah.
Part Chimp weren't really stocked elsewhere.
Right.
So they did well.
Yeah.
And you showed up your copy of I Am Come, didn't you?
Yeah.
I don't have that on vinyl. Really annoying. That's the trouble with being a record seller, is you often neglect your own collection.
Oh, yeah.
So things like that Butter 08 sold dozens of it.
You ain't got it.
Nah. Yeah, annoying. Yeah. But that's a common thing, less so now.
Yeah.
But I'm not under pressure now to sell.
And so do you like, I know you still do the occasional, like you sell at Supersonic, because one of the last times I saw you possibly was a Supersonic, and you do a few bits like that. Do you miss that world, or you?
Yeah, I did. That was one of the things I missed the most, I think, was Supersonic. Weirdly enough, you know, it's like it's kind of perfect for me. I can pitch up, I can set my stall up, but it's still a jolly up. You know, once you're there as well, you can get on one. And see bands and just see loads of people that you're just going to be chatting to all day. And it's a really good festival.
Well, like I said, your name, like when it's come to like pick your best record shops, like Edgeworld has come up like 3 or 4 times, I think, so far in the first now 14 episodes. And when I spoke with Phil yesterday, he spoke about someone else, but then he messaged me afterward and said, I meant to mention Edgeworld as well. So like, you know, you're obviously like a hub, not just in Brighton though, but because you traveled around and you were involved in Supernormal, and then you're setting up at Supersonic and probably other places that I don't know about, wherever that might be, ATP or whatever. Like your name and face is certainly very important in like this particular world.
Well, thanks. I guess that was not personally, but that was kind of the aim of the shop, was to be like the hub for that sort of thing.
Well, it really worked. I know you had Ash working there from Charlottesville. And Tom from Charlottesville. I can't name others, but that's that. So you're even employing.
Lots of people from the scene. Passed through Edgeworld. Dave who was in I'm Being Good at the time.
Okay.
Dave Campbell. He worked for me for a long time. Ross from Trencher. Did for a bit.
Sweet.
I don't think anybody else would employ them. It's fair to say.
That's not very fair. They're very trustworthy. So I'm on the last subject here, and it is favourite 10-inch. So just drag a couple of 10-inch records out.
Okay.
Things we're supposed to.
Right. Well, not my favourite, but an interesting one. Honey, Ride Me a Goat.
Okay.
Their first one. You know the band?
Name rings a bell. Not sure I know them.
From Sittingbourne. Their music is what I've described as jazz chutney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you used to write labels on the records in the shop, and that was what you'd have put? Yeah.
That would have definitely been on that. Yeah. And it's got, I don't know if you can see this, but it's all like curry recipes and that on there.
Oh yeah, no.
And I think it's actually got a recipe inside on an insert. Garlic lamb chop. They sent me this,
right?
With a view to getting a gig, and which they did, and been mates ever since, sort of thing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Another one of those.
Sittingbourne is in Kent, right? Sittingbourne's in Kent.
Yes. Yeah. And it. Here's one that, in fact, I know I sold a copy of this to you, but this is probably my favourite 10-inch, which is Sign
of the Times. Is it Sign of the Dub?
Sign of the Dub, yeah. Code 9 with what's his name? The Space Ape, who rest in peace.
Is it's like a Prince sort of version of sorts?
It's a version of Sign of the Times, the Prince song, but the only thing is like the lyrics is lifted from that. It's supposedly a dubstep record, but it's little more than just a pulse, really.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yes, but I mean, you on previous shows, you've talked about the science of the 10-inch, and like what's the point, kind of thing.
Well, just for the record, as I mentioned to Ralph Basecliff,
I'm like the BBC on this. I'm massively,
Right. Yeah.
I'm impartial. I want people's opinion because I like them, but I can see why they.
Yeah. Okay. I like them. I don't have a problem with them. I don't think there's anything wrong with them. Don't know what all the fuss is about. If people don't like them, really. A lot of Jamaican dub plates are 10 inches.
Yeah. Still.
So
Yeah.
nothing wrong with them. I think it's kind of the perfect format for like a mini album. And this would be a good example.
Hello. Yeah.
Like or this.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's Eric on Stiff Records, on brown vinyl. Yeah. Yeah. So 8 songs on that.
Yeah. Perfect.
So, yeah, that's ideal. It's not a full album. Stick it on a 10-inch.
Yeah. Because what's common now, I've seen, especially in like the punk world, where albums are like 18 minutes long. They'll do it 45 RPM. They'll do a 45 12-inch instead of a 10-inch because the cost is the same. Like if you're manufacturing a 10, it's the same price.
Yeah. If it was like, say, a dance record, for example, that you're going to DJ with, then it would be better if it was a 12-inch because the grooves are going to be more spaced out.
Yeah.
That'd be a better sound quality. But the mastering costs are the same. Yeah. And then it's probably got to be trimmed down to a 10-inch, But but yeah, I think it's just another aesthete, isn't it?
Yeah, like I say, I'm the BBC on it, so I'm easy. So okay, that's technically the end of my list of whatchamacallits here. Have you got any records you want to show or talk about, or anything else you want to say?
Okay. One that I forgot on the sort of bargain things. Okay. It's just a 7-inch that you'd probably be interested in. I'm not a big. I'm not nuts about this label. Not like everybody else is, it seems. But
oh wow! Holy fuck!
Discord number 1.
Is that the original?
I researched it. This is the original version, the sleeve, which is more of a card sleeve rather than paper. Yeah. And hasn't got that much info. The sleeve is well battered. And you can see, it's been stuck to something. And
wow.
But that's okay. Even allowing for that, the vinyl is actually pretty good nick. It's probably only been played a few. But I just looked it up on Discogs and there's none for sale.
Yeah.
This version. And the most expensive one was getting on for 800 quid. Yeah. So this, even in this condition, is probably about 500 quid's worth.
I've never seen one. Never seen one.
Right. So not bad. And
yeah. Yeah. But where did you get it from? How have you got it? What's the deal?
I think I got it. If I remember right, it was maybe a car boot or something, in with a little cachet of punk singles and Crash records, but without the sleeves because they stuck it on their squat wall or something.
Yeah.
And there was it's just a handful of about 10 or so, and I just took the lot and had that. So it probably only cost me less than £1. Yeah.
Yeah. Christ. Yeah. Like you want the Teen Idols, you want the SOA, you want Minor Threat, Iron Cross, you want like the first few.
It's mostly English stuff, but I'll take those. You want for the lot, And so that was
it's classic stuff. Yeah, that's a proper bargain. What you got there? Like, I'm glad you dug that one out because it's like a last-minute goal right there.
Yeah. What else have I got? Yeah. Oh, that would have been a bargain as well, actually.
All right, Frankenstein, yeah, the Brides of.
Frankenstein. So it's Parliament,
yeah,
Funkadelic, but it's the the girl backing singers. This is basically their album.
Right. Okay.
So it's just like a Funkadelic record, but with all the same crowd on it.
Yeah, but female,
but
like,
with their,
like the Headcoatees.
Well, yeah, sort of, yeah. Song-wise, it's just as good, I think, in some ways, but it's quite hard to come by.
Okay.
I think I found that for £1 somewhere or something.
It looks awesome. I like the look of it for sure.
This is worth digging out. Or a couple of things actually that I thought maybe the records that people wouldn't think you'd dig, or maybe they would, but Howdy Doody. Right, it's like a 50s American TV show.
Yeah.
Kids. So it's literally that with loads of screaming kids and everything. But it's there's parts of this have been sampled loads of times. All that. Say, right. Kids, what time is it?
Oh right. Oh yeah.
And this, a few other things as well. Yeah, it's great. But I just really like it all the way through. Yeah. Just listening to it. Some of it's just pretty nuts. That's just a bit of a precious one for me, really.
Right. Okay. That's cool.
And this is also a favourite. But,
59 favourites.
Yeah. Australian TV themes.
Neighbours is on there.
Yeah, Neighbours, Prisoner, Cell Block H, Young Doctors, Skippy, obviously. Yeah, Sons and Daughters. But yeah, look at the track listing.
How have they got all those songs on there?
Well, they're all quite short, aren't they?
Because it's just like literally just the version that's on the intro of the.
Yeah, like the longest thing on there is a minute and a half or something. So most of them are just half a minute long.
Would this have got in your DJ set?
Oh yeah. Yeah, hard, not easy to DJ with, as you might imagine. But yeah, this has been rinsed quite a bit,
Rewind.
Cheech and Chong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of everything they've done, but this has got Basketball Jones on it, which is just a magic track. And I was pleased to get this. Look, this is nice. Look, the sleeve.
Ooh.
You see that?
Oh, yeah, no, that's.
Yeah. I like it when old records have got that sort of bit of craft to them. But yeah, that track Basketball Jones, that was I remember seeing it on Whistle Test.
Okay.
A day when they used to do all that sort of they'd have a little video for it, but if someone in the studio would just knock some old film footage together.
Yeah.
You remember those?
I don't think I do. Old Grey Whistle Test is not. I don't think I really remember watching it.
I just assume everyone's seen like reruns and recently.
Yeah, I might have seen bits, but like it wasn't.
Yeah.
Like ingrained in me, like Top of the Pops is or whatever.
Okay, well, it was either live in the studio or they would have like 1 or 2 tracks from a new album at the time. But they would then make a video to go with it.
Right.
And it would just be like some old, for that, it was like some really early, like 1920s or something, early animation, cartoon type stuff. And they sort of cut it together and it worked perfectly. But it's a great song. Okay, yeah. And maybe in the same category.
Yeah.
It's only here because it's my favourite picture sleeve, I think.
Okay.
My favourite.
Elton. Look at
Elton. Yeah. Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting, but what a sleeve.
Yeah, that's a tattoo right there, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it great? Yeah, yeah.
I wonder how many people had that tattoo done.
what the actual Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting
Yeah.
Yeah,
must be loads.
I've not seen one, but yeah, tattooists have missed a trick, aren't they?
The tune's good though. It's a good tune. That it is a good track.
It's a good single anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 1970s Elton is all right.
Yeah.
You know, they're mostly bangers.
Yeah. And like he's floating on a mountain of cocaine as well, so that makes it even more exciting somehow.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he was full on cokehead at that point. Probably not.
Right.
But you know, a bit like Rick Wakeman when he was at the height of his prog keyboard prowess. He was supposed to have been like strung out on Watney's Pale Ale. Yeah. Well, that's just going to make you go to the loo all the time.
Oh, Rick Wakeman. Okay, it's been really good talking, and we've probably talked too long.
We probably have, haven't we? Yeah.
But it's been.
We
really
have rattled on.
Yeah, no, it's been really good seeing you, chatting. It'd be good to meet up in person at some point. Maybe
I'm sure we will.
Maybe the playoff final.
Possibly, yeah. Now we are going on too long.
Yeah, we ain't talking about football. But yeah, it's really good to see you, Mr. Colin. Let's wave goodbye, and I'll pause it whilst we're waving, like a 1970s game show.
Let's do that.
Wave. See you later.